Welcome back, Soulfull Society, to Soulfull of Wellness,
the multi-generational podcast brought to you by two functional imperfectionists
and certified coaches
who deliver tips to live your most authentic and balanced life.
I'm feeling a bit like a daredevil today because I'm a known spiller and I have a cup of coffee recording from the closet. So wish me luck. I got to be careful. I spilled on my brand new white running shoes today, a little bit of coffee. So
you and white items.
I don't know why I'm attracted to clothing that I just destroy ultimately.
Oh my gosh, I just had a vision of a coffee spill print clothing line.
Wait, I love it.
Yes, like animal print.
I love it.
Comfy clothes, sweatpants, sweatshirt.
Oh, and it's small font. It says imperfectionist.
Clothing for imperfectionists.
It already has stains, so feel free.
Sip away.
I love it. Hello. In light of the holiday season, in today's episode, we are covering travel wellness. It can be challenging to stay on your daily routine while on the go. We know that from firsthand experience. So we've created some tips for you that you can put your own soulful spin on. By the end of this episode, hopefully you'll take away a few tools to use while you're away from home.
Losing sight of your wellness routine while traveling can really leave you feeling off kilter. It's already disorienting to be away from home and maybe in a different time zone. We know that it's hard to follow all those usual things you do. So today we're talking about things you can do while you're away from home. We have some ideas that can help you feel balanced and like yourself.
Love it. So Kit and I have come up with a few common challenges that we've faced while traveling or on the go to stay balanced. So we'll go over some of those. And then following that, we'll give away our soulful tips for you to put your own soulful spin on it. This is pretty timely, right? In light of the holiday season, most people are probably going home for Christmas, for Hanukkah, or for Thanksgiving you were traveling. There's a lot going on, a lot of weddings too. So this can really be helpful for any season, but in particular right now is crazy.
This is a huge time for people to go somewhere warm and sunny. Just get away for a few days or a week.
Sometimes you just need to get away and get in the sun to cure some good old sad. All right, so when it comes to travel, I find that I get totally off balance.
Yeah.
It depends on why you're traveling, but I think either way, it's always good to set an intention before your trip or before your travel, or to find sort of that routine that gets you prepped and ready, right? Whether that's making a packing list and checking it off, or just mentally preparing what you need to pack. I think that's a good standard for getting started.
I always ask myself, what can I not live without? Okay, so obviously that's got to come. And then what can I not get where I'm going? And that lets some of the pressure off because most things you can get, toothbrush, toothpaste, those are easy. Like, okay, you don't want to forget them, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. Then things get a little tougher when it's not just face wash, but my face wash, not just shampoo and conditioner, but my shampoo and conditioner. Yes, I can get shampoo and conditioner, but to get mine might be a little more difficult. And then there's things that are borderline impossible, like prescriptions.
Right. Or glasses and contacts. I never want to forget.
Yeah.
All right. So should we jump into the top challenges that we've had while traveling?
Yeah. Let's talk about that skincare routine that with each passing year gets a little more involved for me.
More and more product. Yes.
So there's certain things that when I ask myself, what can I not live without? Okay, my Clarisonic. Cannot live without it, especially when traveling and you've got all the layers of sunblock and at the end of the day, just washing my face without it, I don't feel like it's clean. So, problem solved, because I have my bigger, fancier at-home one, and then I have the little Mia for traveling. It's much smaller, it doesn't have all the features, but at least my face feels clean when I wash it.
Amazing. So that would be our first tip when it comes to skincare, like keeping up that routine while on the go. Do you have mini versions of your skincare? Do you have travel sizes of your skincare? Because let's be honest, a lot of the products aren't travel size friendly that we're using on a daily basis. And for me, I tend to mess up with this routine because I don't bring all of it. I don't know why I'm not there yet, but I don't bring the entire routine. I just bring the essentials like the cleanser and moisturizer and makeup remover and oil.
So when you're on vacation, you get to skip steps.
Yeah, I skip the toner.
That's an interesting freedom to give yourself. I might ask myself, which steps are not essential, not long-term, not essential. Obviously, they're all essential or I wouldn't bother doing them. But for 4 to 7 days, which steps would I be able to do without? Okay.
Right.
That's a good idea. I'm going to try that.
So our biggest tip I would say for skincare is organizing it so you have a pouch just dedicated for skincare. You can get organized that way and just see it and have it all there and prep ahead of time and get the important products in a travel size version.
When I'm preparing, I do the whole routine while looking at what's laid out that's going to go in the bag. And so each step of the way, even though it sounds like you really have to act it out. Yes, I really do have to act it out. Because if it's all theoretical, I'm like, and then I do this, and then I do this, I'll forget something and later be like, how could I forget that I do that? But it's too late. I have to actually go through the routine one of the nights leading up to the trip and look over and say, yes, I have that. Yes, I have that.
There you go. Another little hands-on tip from Kit. All right, example number 2. This comes up a lot for me. Hydration can be super tough while traveling for multiple reasons, right? I mean, you're on the go. Also, you're probably trying not to have to pee so much. Like, I hate going to the bathroom on an airplane. I really hate that scary flush sound. And, it just can be a hassle to go to the bathroom all the time while you're traveling. While you're on the go, if you're staying at someone else's house or if you're staying at a hotel, it can be tough. So our top 2 tips would be to either pack some form of electrolytes packets where you can get a little bit more of a punch of hydration in a small amount of water, or maybe pack your hydro flask or your portable reusable water bottle. Pack it in your backpack. At the airports, I know there are water fountains, but also if you're staying with a friend or at a hotel, this is an easy way to keep your hydration routine going.
I love those water fillers that they have at airports and other places where it shows you how many bottles you've saved.
Yeah.
The little electronic meter. And I feel like such a good person. I always stare at it. I'm like, come on, flip, give me a bottle. I just saved a bottle, didn't I?
Yeah.
As I refill it. I love that idea because the bottled water in hotels is so expensive.
Right. And even if they're giving it to you for free, it's small and you keep having to request it. I feel like so dehydrated when I stay in hotels.
Yeah. And I often wind up drinking those $10 bottles of 16 ounces of water. It's ridiculous. But, I get to the point where I think like, okay, just whatever, water splurge because I need to drink something.
Oh, fully same. I'll splurge.
But having a refillable water bottle would go a long way. Spend that $10 on a fun latte or something.
Oh, I love that. Right. So either pack the reusable bottle or pack some electrolyte packets to help you while you're actually physically traveling, or maybe if you're staying in a hotel.
I love the emergency flavor packets. 2 reasons. Number 1, when you're traveling, you're exposed to all those germs in the recycled air of the airplane. And I know that I'm more susceptible to getting a cold. It usually happens as soon as I get home from the trip. But regardless, a little vitamin C can only boost the immune system. Also, it makes me more inclined to drink that extra 8 ounces of water because I really do like the flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think more water, I'm kind of bored of water. I know that sounds so weird, but that's my thing lately is I go in my own head. I'm like, I'm kind of bored of water. And then I hear myself, I'm like, what are you saying? It's water. How do you get bored of water? But if I think, oh, but I get to have my emergency now, suddenly it's not at all boring. All right, moving on to sleep.
So, as we know, we can be very thrown off from our sleep routines. I was just talking to my brother about this. He's a musician and has to often go on the road for shows and for tours. And he's also traveling back home for the holidays. So it's a lot of travel and a lot of lack of sleep. And so our biggest tip for this may sound a little bit weird, but let's just go with it, is just accepting the fact that your routine is going to be off when it comes to sleep honestly helps the brain adjust. This idea of radical acceptance.
Right. Nothing is like your own bed. No matter how great a bed is, no matter how wonderful the pillow is, and no matter how nice the sheets are, nothing's like my own bed.
Well, there's so many variables that can throw you off your sleep routine when it's traveling, whether it's not being in your own bed, whether it's taking a red-eye flight, whether it's a time change. I feel like this is the most common part of your routine that's probably going to be thrown off.
Right. It's basically to be expected. The tip we have is look at your schedule and do one less thing. Give up one of those things, one of those activities each day. Shift everything else. You have gear down time and you make sure you get in bed. And then you'll have to see for yourself which is more important to you. But for me, I'm willing to give up the activity, give up going to the show in the evening, whatever it is I would otherwise be doing, to go back to the room, to gear down, to get in bed, and get some really good quality sleep.
Yeah, travel takes a lot out of you. So I think the most important theme here is just going with your body and going with the flow. So once you reach your destination, if you're feeling too exhausted, take that nap. Follow what your body's telling you. Go to sleep. If you're still on the go on the road or wherever you are and you're feeling tired, you might have to cancel an activity or two. That's okay. Just to get your circadian rhythm and your body sort of back on track, because there are a lot of variables that are going to make us exhausted while traveling. So we just want to make sure that we're listening to our bodies and going with the flow.
Yeah.
So nap and rest when you need, cancel an activity or two if you need to, and just kind of get into acceptance mode that, your sleep isn't going to be perfect and you may be a little bit tired, and that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so our next example, and I recognize that not everyone has a journaling routine because that doesn't float everyone's boat. That is totally fine, but this is for the journalers. I recently ran out of journal space. Like, it's completely full and I need to get a new one. And for me, I like blank journals. So it's kind of harder to find than the typical lined, notebook. And so I've been using this idea even now while not traveling. So my tip here is if you don't have room to pack your journal, use your phone notes. If that's a habit that's really helpful for you to get your thoughts out of your brain and onto paper and do a little brain dump, just type it out on your phone notes.
Yeah, I really love that idea because let's be honest, we always have our phones with us. They're always handy. Certainly when we're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on vacation, you have your phone with you to take pictures, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're traveling for work, you certainly have your phone with you to be in communication, check email. So it's there. Use it. Why not?
I love that. And we know that journaling is such a helpful exercise to mitigate anxiety and overwhelm and stress. Just the act of pen to paper, or in this case, thumb to phone screen, can really help you sift through all these unnecessary worries and overthinking to help you clear your head and have more headspace to be in the moment and do what you're doing.
Yeah. It's sort of the emotional equivalent of writing the to-do list.
Yeah.
Gets it out. You can come back to it later. It's like putting a pin in it.
Yes.
Here, this is reserved. I'm going to come back to this, but I'm not going to deal with it right now.
Yeah, I love that. So it's like you're still keeping up with that healthy routine, but you're being flexible, right? You're doing it on the go or you're jotting things down when they come up.
Exactly. And things, when you're out of your normal routine and your normal environment, tend to come up in a unique way. So some of those things are things that you can act upon later. You can reflect upon and decide what to do about it later when you have time. Being in this different place or with different people and seeing different things might bring up some interesting items.
Yeah, definitely. All right, this next example is my personal biggest challenge is supplements and vitamins routine. Oh, you guys, sometimes I don't even prioritize bringing them with me. That is so odd, right? As if I'm not going to need it on vacation. I mean, weirdly enough, Kit, I don't know if it's placebo or what, but let's say you're traveling for vacation, like we were talking about, you get a lot of benefits from it. So sometimes I notice, oh, I'm completely fine without my supplements, but it always screws me when I get back because then I'm out of that routine.
Exactly. So, yeah, maybe you were okay for 4 days, but I think part of that is not everything leaves your system instantly. So, I think you probably were having some residual benefits from having such a well-established routine leading up to your vacation. And then partly lower stress, not as many demands. Things are not adult the way they are every day of your life. You can flow along, but it will always catch up with you at some point. You can't just not take your supplements. Otherwise, you would never have to take them. Obviously, you're taking them for a reason.
Yeah. And then when I get back from traveling and I haven't been taking them, I'm instantly forgetting every morning I'm not in that routine. So then all of a sudden it's a buildup and I'm out of the routine completely because I broke it.
Ooh, interesting thought on that. It's not just the routine while you're away. You've now broken the routine. So there's a complete time period where you're still reestablishing it because you were away from it.
So maybe put them in a compartment that makes sense for you and then set an alarm while you're on vacation to take them. If I don't set an alarm, I'm probably going to forget.
This is where you need to know yourself and do the system that's going to work for you. So if it works for you to have little baggies, like those expensive companies you can pay to do it for you, but you do it for yourself, where you have your AM baggie, your afternoon baggie, and your PM baggie, as opposed to pulling out all the bottles each time. Whatever is going to help you have what you need when you need it, remember to take it, and actually just facilitate taking them.
Definitely. And that's what we go over in coaching. It's really all about what works for you. Just getting creative, experimenting, because not every routine, not every tool or system works for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are beautifully unique.
Imperfectly unique.
And I think that sometimes I use travel as this like excuse to get out of routines. I don't know. I'm kind of more of a type B type of person. And so I find, oh, I want to flow and go with the flow while traveling or whatever and feel so free from the routine. But yet when I come back, then I'm completely off kilter.
Oh, you have to put yourself back on track.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking like, no, look at me. I don't need all that.
Right.
I can just live in the moment. On vacation, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But in the course of real life, not so much. Like, I don't know anybody who gets to just live in the moment all the time.
No.
We have obligations. We have responsibilities.
Let's say you're traveling not for vacation. There's probably a lot going on, like a lot of busyness, a lot of planning. Let's say you're with family and things like that. So that's also an easy way to get derailed off of your routines and what works for you. So set those alarms, use those systems. Last but certainly not least, one of our biggest wellness challenges while traveling can be travel anxiety or generalized anxiety. We know what that feels like.
I think this one's really, really common, even for people who don't typically feel the effects of anxiety having a negative impact on their daily life. It's pretty universal that people tend to get anxious because there's so many variables. There's so much outside of our control.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's such a good way to put it. We know what these symptoms and signs are, right? You know, the sweaty palms, the overthinking, the overanalyzing, tight chest. The list goes on and on. Some tips that we have are some tips that I personally use and would love to share just in case it can help anyone else. So, aromatherapy. I'm telling you, I don't give a shit if my lavender is very pungent and poignant. Wait, is pungent bad?
Pungent isn't bad, it's just a lot. Pungent is a intensity, so
Aromatic? I mean, it
it
smells good.
could impact others around
Right.
you,
Okay.
certainly.
Yeah. I have no shame. I'm on a train, I'm on a plane. If I'm feeling that anxiety creep in, I whip out my lavender, do a few drops on the palm. You guys know the drill. Rub the hands together and do 3 deep inhales. And so far, I've yet to get a complaint because I find it's quite pleasant. And honestly, trains and planes, they don't smell that great anyways.
No, they definitely do not.
So hopefully it's impacting someone else and it's helping them. But aromatherapy is such a good instant, I won't call it a cure, but tool to help.
It's definitely a relaxation tool. It will change the intensity of what you're feeling.
Absolutely. And next, okay, so we have CBD tinctures. So personally, I love the peppermint kind, and I use a tincture from a company called Plus CBD, 750 milligrams. You guys, this stuff really works. It honestly is almost instant. I started using it during COVID when the grocery stores were still open, but it was very scary to go in public at this point. And I would take a drop on my tongue before going, and I would notice that found myself very capable to move through the store and get what I needed to get done.
If you haven't tried CBD in the last couple years, I urge you to try it again because I feel like they've made such progress. Before, everything was always a little bit yucky. It always had a little bit of that taste, that aftertaste, undertaste. Is that a thing? It is now. And the smell under it all that I just always found a little distasteful, to put it bluntly. And I feel like they've made so much progress with that. Like I have my sleep gummies. They're honestly not bad. Like they used to be yucky, but I would have one anyway. I feel like they've lost their yuckiness. So that's my encouragement too. If you always found it just a little yuck, try it again.
And DM us if you want to hear some specific brands that we use, because we'd be more than happy to share.
Yes.
And I sometimes like to put a little bit of the peppermint flavor into my coffee because it kind of balances out the jitters and it adds a really yummy taste too. Just saying.
Here, guys, counteract each other.
Yeah, exactly. The perfect concoction. And then lastly is using whatever mantras really resonate with you. I'm telling you, like talking to yourself while you're traveling can be very helpful, whatever that may be.
As far as the mantra goes, maybe remind yourself why you're doing it. Why are you traveling?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say even if, but especially if it's for fun. And tell yourself, I chose this vacation. I've been looking forward to this. So the airplane is going to be just fine. If I could skip it, I would, but it's the only way to get there. So it's part and parcel.
So use your mantras and your breath work, of course. We've got that square breathing tool on our Instagram. If you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up, a 5-star review, and tell a friend about Soulfull of Wellness.
Hit that share episode. Send it to someone you know who will be traveling this holiday season.
If you're a Spotify listener, you can also do the same. Please hit that share button. As we know, unfortunately, you can't leave us a review on Spotify, but you can on Apple Podcasts. We so appreciate you. Thank you so much for another week of listening. Till next time.
Happy travels.
Happy travels.
Peace, love, and light.
Peace, love, and light. The Soulfull of Wellness hosts are certified health and wellness coaches. This podcast is intended to inform and entertain listeners on their wellness journey. This podcast is meant to enhance, not replace, listeners' care from doctors, therapists, or other medical providers.